shine himself this time around. And ladies and gents, with that said, we do have the draft ready. No Diablo, of course, the fact that the Flash keeps slotting Ken in to replace replace Diablo. I mean, Ken is a up-and-coming EXP laner, no doubt, right? And
Yes.
he's definitely shining. And he also allows, Team Flash to allow Hades to play a lot more. Because remember what we mentioned, when Diablo and Bray were from the same team back in RSG, the draft gets super predictable, right? You know that Bray is definitely going to go into a fighter, a tank or fighter jungler.
Yep.
And then
Fredrin,
you cannot,
Alpha.
yeah, you cannot basically go for your assassin junglers, right? But Flash SG needs that flexibility. The fact that Hades right now can go anywhere, Baxia jungle, a Fredrin jungle, or be it a Guinevere tank jungle as well, and that's unlocked by Ken.
At this point, we gotta have to let the draft unfold to eventually find out what kind of direction both of these two teams are going for, right? We more or less have got a preview of how the grand finals looked like in the upper bracket finals yesterday. So perhaps this is something that we could have seen, and perhaps through the statistics that you have on your Excel sheet as well, we have a better understanding about what about the differences that we should expect and what are the changes that Coach Amox and Coach Z's may potentially have and put on over to the drafting stage. We start things off with a 1-1 as well as a Loi ban right off the bat. I don't think that this is any different.
Yeah, definitely, right? I think right now the fact that Amox is willing to break the mode, right? I love how Coach Amox does it. I also like Coach Z's how he does it. But I feel like after Coach Z is replaces Coach Zarate, I think Team Flash lost the X factor.
The
right?
X factor.
Yeah. It just lost that the X factor, and now it is Coach Amox that has the X factor to be able to basically bring up anything. Like if the Veil can appear in MPL Singapore, what's next? A Cyclops? I just had to do it. Thank you.
Just had
I'm
to.
sorry. I just had to do it.
Don't worry, that's a youngin thing.
You know the youngin is actually probably restreaming us right now.
Yeah,
Hi youngin.
I know.
Anyways, Baxia ban coming out from the side of Coach Amox as well. Coach Zace as well takes away the Phoveus.
Okay, so nothing too out of the ordinary. We do have the Moskov that is currently thrown into the banning pool as well. We've got quite a multiple heroes that is currently available. I do like to find that the Hayabusa ban something that is something that I did not expect. Kalia. Okay, we'll talk about Kalia,
Yep.
we'll talk about Chip. So far, I don't think that Chip has been first pick worthy, first phase worthy thus far. They would like to, most of these teams seems to like to pick up the Chip as a final straw, a surprise X factor for their team. Most of the X factor that you talked about actually comes more from Absolute Zero. The rest of these two teams, I think that they have a pretty standard meta-wise kind of drafting.
Do you not see the Valier and Veil
Your team is
from RSG?
I mean...
Anyways, Kalia first pick coming out from the side of RSG. But once again, if you see Vendetta bringing the Kalia over to EXP lane, there could also be a chance that Closer may be bringing it to the EXP lane.
That could be, but I highly doubt it. We shall see how that's eventually going to go. With the Harif being picked up along with the Gato Kacha. With the Gato Kacha having a very slight inch over to the roam position at this point in time, but still consider that as a flex pick. With mages currently still open, Juicin as well as the Farsa. It really depends on how RSG would want to play it out. Do they want layering of the crowd control? That is the Juicin that's still going to be paving the way and play around with the second phase of the pick. Otherwise, if they want some burst damage to really make full use of the single target lockdown coming in from Kalia, the Farsa would have been a better pick.
Yeah, but I also feel like right now, I think they're going for the side of Team Flash. It feels like they're talking about zone denial, right? You've got Gato Kacha allowing the Zaman Force to basically go in ham. You have with the AOG, and it also does have that global to react against a potential chip coming out from RSG.
So, because of this fact that you mentioned about the Gato Kacha, I think that is also something that could be a possible denial pick of the Farsa going over to the side of RSG. It could be a Farsa, it could be a Yve. Either way, both of these two these two majors are sitting ducks right there. So Gadokacha generally just loves to AOG in. The difference is that AOG can disrupt.
Hold on.
Hmm?
It's a swap. So it is actually Flash that picked the Kalia instead.
Ah.
And RSG goes for the Harif and the Gadokacha. Thanks, production, for correcting that mistake.
Ah.
Right now, it's just... Okay, now it still makes a little bit of sense, I guess. Now it makes more
Okay,
sense when
Jay definitely
go for
Gadokacha then.
Gadokacha, yeah.
Yeah, Jay definitely Gadokacha. That's not going to be a flex then. It makes a difference here.
Yep.
Right? So Team Flash now have decided... No wonder the AMOX ban out their Hayabusa. That makes sense. Okay, so now Team Flash, they've decided to pick up the Suyo and then a Granger for themselves. Due to the fact that Moskov is currently already unavailable, the next possible pick is going to be a Granger, allowing the Irithel to be picked up by RSG if they would want to go to that direction of winning the lanes against the Granger.
No, you got a Harif already, so you
Oh,
don't
right.
really, yeah, you don't
Yeah.
really need another gold laner right
No,
now. From
you
the
don't,
side
you
of RSG, we talk about zone denial, right? You can drop a Zask or even a Juicin. That also fits the bill.
Okay. Actually, the Zask is actually an honorable mention, but we haven't really seen too much of that Zask ever since its downfall due to the nerf that's been worked up over to the I guess it's the entire kit, right? Or is it just the
It's just too. The Dominator's
It's
Descent
breaking, I
is
guess.
just game breaking. It's just so difficult, especially when right now it's mostly an assassin era, assassin meta.
Yeah.
Having
They
that
can
DD
just
to
kinda
hide inside the
walk out,
body, you can just basically do a lot of weird shenanigans. Right now, RSG bans away the glue. It's going to be Team Flash's turn to ban. Looking at the roster right here, I think both sides hasn't even secured the EXP laners yet.
Not yet, yeah. So they can definitely double down on that. And one thing that's for sure is that RSG is the one that has to blind pick one of these heroes. It's either going to be the jungler or it's going to be the EXP lane. Given the fact that Team Flash...
Wow. There you go. Zaz ban from the side of
Okay.
RSG as well. Like what I mentioned in terms of zone denial, Harry is also susceptible to this, right? You land down the Zaman Force, you put the DD right there, the Harry is not going to have a good time. But you know what's crazy from the side of Team Flash? Crazy idea number 5.
Who's at number 5?
Esmeralda
Esmeralda.
by Ken. Juicin does have shields, good sustain against the Gadokacha as well, and also Harry as well. That's also one interesting counter. And you have a massive CC. That's just a crazy idea.
In theory, it does work. In theory, it makes sense. And in theory, she also do have the utility in terms of the Falling Star Moon to lock people down. I think that is a pretty good answer to that. You can also stick very close to the Harif.
Yep.
But in terms of the meta, do Team Flash want to play around it? And of course, does Esmeralda have a good lane matchup for that to happen?
Sure.
So I think that in order for Team Flash to play the Esmeralda into the EXP, it really depends if whether RSG decides to pick up a EXP lane first. They need to blind pick on the EXP.
Yeah.
If RSG does that and the conditions allows, then only then Esmeralda is fair to be picked up.
True. For Amos Sodia, so which means that if I think based on what you mentioned, we're getting a I think the caster desk is thinking maybe they're going to go for. Oh, hold on. So that's a chow for the side of Jay on the roam. Gadokacha going to the EXP. So this is also kind of interesting.
So this is an Esmeralda OK game. This is actually an Esmeralda OK game.
For the side of Team Flash.
Yes, for the side of Team Flash.
Yeah.
So aside from the Esmeralda, if we talk about the meta terms, it's likely gonna be Badang because of the fact that they don't have a lot of setups. If they want to set up, it's mostly gonna be single target setup coming in from Kalia, but it will only make sense in terms of meta to pick up the Badang that would suit to Ken's needs.
Yeah.
And then they also miss out.
Okay.
Hylos. Okay.
That's why I said it's a crazy idea.
Okay.
Don't follow my crazy ideas.
It's not too crazy, to be honest. Honestly, it is not too crazy.
Right. So now the assassin for Bray. I like how Amos is actually keeping it all the way to the last. You can go for Ling is already banned out. You still technically speaking there's a Lancelot, which is somewhere you don't try to go, even though you've seen some other MPLs pick them up.
Lancelot is a no.
The alpha may be a little bit awkward right here. The Xbox seems interesting because you can abuse the fact of the AOG and also the Juicin. But right now it feels like for the side of RSG it's lacking burst. Hanzo.
Okay.
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 It
does
deals
have
well.
the AOG. Sorry, does have the AOE.
Mm.
You're pretty much safe. While in the meantime, Team Flash don't necessarily have got someone that can really just casually fly over to the back. What I mean by fly is quite literally just a Fasa.
Yep.
Dude, you really want the Fasa to chase the body.
Yeah, definitely, right? And you've seen how some of the teams actually bring out the Hanzo. It really wreaks a lot of havoc around the back lines, especially when the far side is probably scrambling to try to fly away. You lose all of a sudden. Team Flash loses a lot of damage potential. If you zone out a Granger, and don't forget, if the Granger shots actually land on top of the Hanzo, that's damage lost because that's a Ghost Bomb.
Yeah.
Basically, you do no damage to the rest of the team, allowing RSG to press on forward.
So, win condition. What are we looking for from the side of both teams?
Flash SG, I think both of them feels like a pick comp, right? You got a Cho, and you technically have a lot more flexibility for the side of Team Flash. Farsa can also be used as a siege unit. Right now, definitely, it's all about the mid lane play. Kurtz needs to be able to land, use the Feather Airstrike to zone out the rest of the enemies, whereas RSG Singapore needs to deny the Feather Airstrike.
So, here we have, ladies and gentlemen, game number 1 between Flash SG and RSG Singapore. Definitely, both teams does seem as though they have a pretty strong composition and nothing too out of the ordinary. But we start things off with a very aggressive front coming in from Flash, pushing Roy all the way back home within the first minute.
Yeah, you can definitely do that, right? The Kalia more than happy to take up a fight like that, and every time when he's landing down a punch, a Kalia heals Kurtz as well. That's what's allowed Kurtz to be a little bit more aggressive.
And at this point, we are a few seconds away until the first turtle eventually spawns up. But looking at the jungle rotation, it doesn't seem like we're looking at anything too crazy. However, RSG's Hanzo is a slight tad bit slower. Okay, maybe it's not say slower. It's just that the Suyo decided to invade first before going into the Beetle.
Yeah, but don't forget, Ray as the Hanzo basically has a movement speed boost when he goes to the ultimate, right? So he can immediately go over to the turtle. He can be right here ganking at the top lane.
Yep, so Brave immediately went over to the range of creep and of course consuming it, saving so much time. As we do have a little bit more of aggression from the side of Team Flash where they are looking more towards the northern part of the map as they prepare themselves for the turtle. But at this point, it seems like priorities is going to be more on RSG Singapore's side.
Definitely, right? Level for power spikes from the side of RSG is a lot stronger. The AOG, the ultimate coming out from the Juicin. Of course, you got Hanzo's ultimate. Yes, technically speaking, same could be said on the side of Flash SG, right? If they choose to brawl, don't forget, Ken on the highlights, the Glorious Pathway is more like a utility. It's allow repositioning. Flash SG is limited in terms of the damage department.
None of these teams seems to want to hold on to the turtle for now, but at least Jay, Roy, and Closer, they are putting themselves just right around the turtle's pit, looking for the opportunity to jump. And speaking of jumping, Team Flash, they're gonna make the first moves over to the turtle. 4 members around the turtle for the side of Team Flash, while RSG, they're looking for something. As the Crimson Beacon coming from Roy, just gonna be touching right onto the Kalia, but Kalia immediately goes in for the Tsunami Slam. Jay with the way of the Dragon onto JPL, but doesn't seem like they will be able to do too much as RSG have suffered quite a bit of damage already. Jay and Closer fortunately got themselves back, while the Pinnacle Ninja dealt a significant amount of damage, but not quite enough to do anything else from this point onwards. With 2% down from the side of RSG Singapore, Team Flash now have the priority over the turtle and should be able to take this with no problems.
Yeah, good call coming out from Ken right there, the Law and Order.
And immediately, now Brave finds himself in the tough spot, but at least Roy... Wait, Roy, what are you doing? Oh!
Oh no. That's an interesting interaction.
Yeah, but I didn't think that Roy will want to throw them closer over to a almost dead Bray. But at this point, with our Dragon connecting down over to his side, Hades pushing him slightly away. This is a Brawl Fest all the way up north. Well,
Dude.
now more and more bodies are dropping from the side of RSGSG.
It's a very long sequence, Abstract, but let me break it down to you. RSG Singapore, Bray is actually one level ahead of Hades, and when Flash SG decide to go on a full-on brawl, the AOG coming out from the side closer denies the Feather Airstrike. Remember, this is a game about Feather Airstrike, whether we can deny Kurtz of having a Feather Airstrike or allow Kurtz to have his Feather Airstrike. But then after that, when the fight elongated a little bit too long, it hurt Bray even more, and now because of that, Hades got 2 kills, and Bray is down. Now down 1 death, and they're almost the same level.
So in terms of economy, right, the economical sense for Flash is definitely looking a little bit more sleek with 1,000 gold to their name. The total will take some time before it will eventually pop up, but I mostly just want to understand what is going to be the case for both of these two teams. So early game, who's got the advantage?
I think both actually has the same advantage, but if you scale all the way up to the later parts of the game...
Oh,
there we
wait,
go.
that blind jump of the title strike from JPL actually found Jay. Well, now we do have a red carpet coming in from Ken, but he's just going to be focusing on Roy. What a Pinnacle Ninja from Bray puts himself right on purple buff all the way down, deep in, dealt a significant amount of damage over the Kurt, but not that is going to do anything at this point.
Yeah, but right now it's just a brawl fest, right? Like, yes, technically speaking, Jay is a roamer, you sacrifice that, but you're giving kills over the side of Flash SG.
So now you can see the JPL is preparing himself, putting, of course, the passive right in front of the Turtle's Pit. Flash want to do whatever it takes in order to get themselves a team-wide EXP buff, as well as economy, right? Gold all the way through. All 5 members from Team Flash congregating together while Bray goes in with a Pinnacle Ninja, but unfortunately unable to steal the Turtle away. RSG understands that, and they have no reason to continue this fight.
Yeah, right now, definitely the snowball...
Oh,
man, as I try to say that.
Ooh, that's not great. A non-committal play from Bray, only to have the Gunslinger right in the face of Bray.
Yep, if you take a look at the gold lead right here, swinging in the favor of Flash. We talk about both these two teams has equal amount of snowball at level 4, but hold on, it's a 1v1 up top.
I don't think that that's going to go anywhere for Hades. He's going to be fine unless, of course, Jay and Roy comes in with a quick S1 and S3, gets him fine and dandy.
Yep.
Safe back home.
Sasuke is really fast.
Sasuke is fast.
Yeah, top side already cracked open, bot side for the side of RSG. Singapore is cracked open. It's a push and pull for both these two teams. In terms of gold lead wise, it's still 2k in the favor of Flash SG. But Flash SG, even though yes, they have a good team fight composition, RSG Singapore, once you hit the late game, once Bray starts to pick up his items, he can do more than just kill. He can basically use his Ghost Swarm to steal lords away and steal objectives away.
You know, at this point, we have a lot of information that we could have gotten from the side of Team Flash because of the fact that they have a Cho. This is a very explosive lineup that you can see from the side of Team Flash. They have very non-committal things that they can do. Even though we're looking at a Kalia that seems also committal, but her ultimate eventually brings you back to the team. So even if you just jump into the Title Strike, the Tsunami Slam brings you right back in and allows you to be in a pretty comfortable position.
Top side, Vanek will be able to kill that one, but teamfight it shows.
Immediately, Jay finds himself taken down. Can take the last hit off of that. Well, in the meantime, CS is just going to be zooming all around onto the Zaman Force and joins into the fray. It is going to be Bray. He's looking for a kill on the Ken, but he's currently taking a little bit too much pot shot. But unfortunately, Bray, his real body is just a little bit too close onto the Z-Brush. As such, Hades found them, or rather found him, and took him down.
Yeah, the real body's a little bit too close to the side of RSG, but take a look. You can start to see how Bray is trying to use his own fake body to burn the Tsunami Slam coming up on the side of Flash SG. But then again, the Snowball once again is swinging in the favor of Flash SG right now. They're starting to encroach RSG side of the jungle. RSG Singapore needs to do something.
So now we're gonna have to identify a few things. Do you want to use the Pinnacle Ninja as one of the main damage dealer, or do you want it to use as a peeling mechanism? If you want to use it as peel, you need to look for alternative damage sources. And I think that just having CS as an alternative damage source is not quite enough in this early game.
Yeah, definitely, right? I think RSG Singapore, if they want to play, oh my goodness, Vanix crank open bot already. And only like around 8 minutes, the side wave, RSG is losing the countrysides.
I don't exactly know what RSGSG can do at this point in time. We've got a Pinnacle Ninja coming in. Just going to be slicing and dicing on the Ken, but this guy is the front line. It's not easy going to be bringing him down because he's got his carpet as well as a Revitalize as such. Jared's going to find himself taken down by the hands of Vanix. We do have the Zaman Force that's going to be dropped as such. They will be able to bring down and whittle down the front lines.
Yeah, Jay giving his body right there, but then again, you can start to see Flash SG, they have a plan in mind, and the plan is basically trying to bait out RSG Singapore out in the open, bait the Zaman Force out, but what Flash SG likes to do is they like to commit a lot of resources in picking one person. All that resource just to put Jay into the ground.
Now, I would say that when it comes down to jungle versus jungle matchup, Bray, even though in terms of level, he seems to be relatively okay, right? Level 11 versus a level, well, 13, and now just hit level 13. Suyo, he also managed to take down the turret down the bottom lane, so that's all fine and dandy. Putting both of them is at only one level gap. However, I think that when it comes down to gold, that is where the problem is going to be. Bray requires a little bit more gold in order to go online, and it's a slightly more expensive assassin.
Yeah, apart from that, Hanzo is also a very greedy assassin as well. And if you start to notice, Bray is actually starting to fix the sideways, right? That's the power of a Hanzo, but I'm also interested in the items because I'm desperately looking at CS right here. He should have most of his items coming up online,
right?
at the very least, the corrosive side and the Holy Crystal. These are his two core items. Sorry, not corrosive side, my bad. The Stardom side. Oh my goodness, they changed the
both
items
sides.
along.
Yeah.
They're both sides. There's also the Feather Heaven as well. These are his two core items that are secured, but I think he needs more. The Holy Crystal is definitely something that you need. Vanix is already skipping the BOD, go straight for the Malefic Roll first.
So he does have some damage in that department. But in the meantime, we're going to be looking at the main lot fight. JPL trying to close the gaps a little bit while Kanda giving some information. And he's a very tanky boy. He's not going to have a lot of problems.
Ooh.
As such, it is going to be ultimates coming in from both ways. But unfortunately, Bray, even with the Pinnacle Ninja, unable to steal the Lord away from the hands of Hades, while the rest of members from the side of Team Flash pushes the rest of RSG away.
We talk about target prioritization right there. If you see how JPL focusing on actually pulling Bray away so that he doesn't use the Ghost Bomb to try to steal the Lord away. But apart from that, Abstract, I'm thinking about RSG Singapore needs to really try to focus on the priorities. I've seen Bray try to whittle down Ken. I've seen Bray try to whittle down, you know, the likes of even JPL, right? But the main target is Curtizi right here.
As such, I think they're gonna have to look at a different avenue, right? Because we talked about the fact that we want to see kind of like a front-to-back kind of thing from RSG, but in reality, I think that there's so much more that they could do, right? You drop the Zaman Force as well as finding that we have Dragon. You can target anyone that you want. You don't have someone that can shred down the tanky front lines with true damage. As such, it takes time to kill them. You can kill them, but it takes time. But speaking of time, it is going to be the time for the suplex onto closer. But in the meantime, over to the side, we do have the Way of Dragon just going to be connecting onto Vanix. As such, this is going to be Pinnacle Ninja. He's going to be running his face right over the back to bring him down. Finally, Jay immediately with the Jacundo all the way back home. He's going to be fine for now. But Hades is a little bit overextended. As such, he will be taken down by the hands of CS.
Yeah, like what I mentioned, I don't like Bray is maybe looking for more right here, but I don't think he has the range for that. Finally, RSG Singapore has identified targets, right? Vanix must be taken down. His stacks on the Sky Piercer is crazy. Good for Jay right there to try to shut him down in terms of locking him down. As we take a look at the replay earlier just now for that particular sequence, take a look at J-Cam, right? Jay is the one that really sets up the fight earlier just now, allowing Bray to basically go into his ninja form to try to hunt down Vanix. At the same time, yes, Curtizi may be there with the Feather Airstrike, but once, you know, the Feather Airstrike finishes, Curtizi is just a normal Farsa. Doesn't need to wait for a lot of cooldowns to come online.
I really like the angle coming in from Jay. Manages to find Vanix. It would have been great if the positioning of Vanix was a little bit more to the northern side so that he can be kicked all the way through. But speaking of kicking, we do have a suplex instead. Roy melted down in an instant. I would like to believe that most of the damage came from Vanix.
I wasn't expecting that kind of burst. You know, you expect Roy to be able to just jump out with the ultimate, but it seems like he's not able to do so.
Yep. So, Tsunami Slams after Tsunami Slams. We are looking at quite a bit of those pick-off potentials from Team Flash, and that is a lot more clear from Team Flash. Well, for RSG, it's not exactly that clear. It feels as though their Way of the Dragon is a little bit more of a random crowd control or just a small little target. But in the meantime, the AOG coming in from closer is just going to be putting himself right in the front line. But in the meantime, Bray focuses all over to the back. He will be able to bring Hades down though, so that is going to be a great start for them. The Zaman Force coming in from the side of CS has been dropped and has been used to the fullest extent, finally pushing Team Flash away. With 20 seconds and above timer onto Team Flash, RSG can actually try to go for this Lord.
Yeah, it feels like, you know, RSG Singapore trying to punish it, right? At the same time, they still have Bray, so they will have to try to blitz down this Lord ASAP. It's up to Team Flash to try to hold it down.
This is going to be the Tsunami Slam. That's going to be on the side of Bray. We do have the Pinnacle Ninja coming in also from the side of Bray, but he was not going to be chasing up with the rest of the members from Flash. Wants to focus onto the Lord. Bray brings it down. Realizes there's no reason to continue up to this fight because they already have Curtizi being staggered. But Bray, because he's a Pinnacle Ninja after all, if you're able to find a little bit more kills, that would be fine. fine.
Yeah, we talk about the late game right here. RSG Singapore, don't forget, when the Harith picks up the Holy Crystal, which he just did, that was the major difference. That's why RSG Singapore's damage increased exponentially. But it's also good for the side of Flash SG, right? Hades is there to screen Brave, but it seems like, Brave started to pick up the items. Hades is unable to assassinate his Ghost Form. And now with the BOD, he's going to do a lot more damage.
Almost managing to get the pickup over to Hades, but at least the Blade Surge allows him to get himself right out of dodge before anything chaotic happens. RSG, they now have the upper hand with the Lord onto their side. And this is a Luminous Lord. Not really a multiple charge Lord just yet, but still not, a little bit tanky, but not tanky enough. They would want to bring down all of the T2 turrets.
I feel like right now, the Flash, the snowball ended. RSG Singapore finds a way, the mistake made by the side of Flash SG earlier just now to overcommit. At the very least, they're still able to, hold on to the turrets right now because they do have a Farsa and they choose to take down the Lord before the Lord actually reaches the base.
I'm not exactly sure what kind of angles RSG could be looking out for here. I think the only thing that they can work with is hoping that the Wheel of Dragon lands on someone and bursts them down quick, but I think that that's kind of a tall order.
Right now it's just the Poke Fraud. Unless Jay has something interesting that he would like to say using his Cho.
Yeah,
But Break is more than happy to pick these non-commitments.
Right on to Kurtisi, force the Wings by Wings as well as the Feathered Airstrike. I think that RSG will want to look for an opportunity here if Team Flash were to overextend themselves.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. Kurtisi is a different kind of Farsa, different kind of beast. Ray is still ongoing.
Ouch! That's the Pinnacle Ninja already disappeared in an instant. And RSG realizes and knows that this is not their chance to fight. They have to reset themselves. And within the next minute or so, they have to play a little bit safe. For now, even if anyone were to go down, I think that it's still fine. They should be back in time for the Lord. But anything after 30 seconds, they need to play safe.
Yeah, earlier just now, if you notice how, even though Bray is tagging onto Kurtisi still, as a Wings by Wings form, still flies forward towards danger. This man knows no danger. He see an edge, he will knock into it.
It's almost like he would throw caution into the wind, but not for not for fun and not for laughs though, because he understands the risks involved and he is able to kind of stretch his hero far enough. He does have got the Blood Wings, so it's not particularly too afraid of being bursted down instantaneously.
Lord will be spawning very, very soon. You can see Hades already trying to fix the wave, but don't forget, oh, hold on a second, Concealed.
Immediately now, Hades is all alone, but I think that RSG, the rest of the members want to follow up on this. As such, it is going to be a Suyo down. The AOG connects onto 3. Vanix immediately flickers himself away. He's going to be safe and sound for now, but the rest of the members coming from the side of RSG just going to be going for the pickup onto Ken. That's going to be the next one on the chopping block. As such, 2 men down on such a critical moment.
RSG, that was a free Lord for them right there. It's a good play coming up from RSG Singapore. They identify and they adapt and they understand. RSG Singapore knows Team Flash's pattern. They always see Hades try to fix away by the sides. They just bomb rush for it, burst him down, and hopefully, they take even more casualty as collateral damage. And there you go, boom, a free Lord.
No more boots. Coming in for the Harith has picked up the Oracle to further cement what kind of damage and survivability this man has. A lot of shields coming in from every Chrono Dash.
Look at Bray's items, man. A BOD, a Malefic Roar.
Ooh.
With a ton of attack speed. Can shred. As long as Bray plays his cards right, man, there's nobody from the side of Flash SG can survive that.
I fear for the back lines of Flash.
I'm usually the back lines. I'm scared right now.
You will feel fear even just from watching this. That's the kind of fear that Hanzo can bring onto a team. Doing the Pinnacle Ninja.
What?
Oh, that's a great burst.
But Bray can
But
always
not
do
quite
this.
enough. Okay.
But Bray can always do this, and that's the
always
power of
do
the late
that.
game Hanzo. I think Hades overestimated his now, and once again, Flash SG is forced to defend 4 against 5. Sorry, making 4 against 6 with a Lord marching up top.
That's a huge blunder as now the Wheel of Dragon connect down to Ken. The AOG connect onto Ken as well, but they're going to be focusing onto the front lines while CS wants to bring Ken down as much as possible. The Wings by Wings is currently unavailable as such. Roy picks up the Kha'Zix, breaks him down, and at this point in time, RSG takes game number 1.
A strong momentum coming up beside RSG. RSG in game number 1. The Hanzo, we doubted it in the early game because he hasn't have his items yet. You expect a Hanzo to have a lot of early game potential, but seems like he cannot find any. But when it comes to late game,
He's a
that-
monster.
that ghost is scary.
Remember how he got 3 deaths and not a single kill. It felt as though he was in a really deep gutter.
Mhm.
But fortunately, as you
Then he
mentioned
started
before,
farming.
he's out farming. He's got EXP pretty okay, right?
Mhm.
Only 1 level discrepancy. So technically speaking, in terms of 50-50 battles for the objectives, he's not out of dodge. And of course, with the Pinnacle Ninja, it's essentially a free walk-in over to the lawn and literally just gunning for the 50-50.
Yeah, like these 50-50, after you throw it multiple times, it started to lean over to RSG. Yes, Team Flash has a strong snowball effect in the early game because of the grandeur, but once CS starts picking up his items, his Holy Crystal, that's the one I was eyeing, and that's where, you know, Team Flash overestimated the amount of free routes that they could go, and they tried to end the game right there and then. Had Team Flash end the game then, I think it will be a Team Flash game, but because RSG was able to extend and defend properly, and that's why we got an RSG game number 1.
Let's not forget about the power spike coming in from Suyo. Once it comes down to the late stages of the game, you can see just how obvious the fall off is.
Yes.
It's between 2 assassins. If an assassin can't burst down another assassin in the late stages of the game, that means a lot. Well, in the meantime, all the other assassin needs to do is just walk back slightly, and then re-engage again. And at that point in time, all of the skills from the Suyo is currently under cooldown.
Yep. So unfortunately, I think what RSG realizes is that Hades likes to go on alone. Using the Hanzo, I think the only closer time that Bray actually was caught off guard was when he's in his human form. That's where Hades was able to do the damage. But at that stage, Hades is forced to build defensive items because he's always getting busted down.
Indeed.
And he doesn't have enough damage to deal with Bray. And what Hanzo do, just goes in ultimate and start slicing.
I would say that I would usually and normally want to question what is with that 1v1 coming from Hades, but I would like to believe that at that point in time Hades is already too deep in.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of things that allows him to escape, and he knows that if a Pinnacle Ninja is coming right for him, he's pretty much dead.
So the problem right now is Team Flash, like what I mentioned, if you noticed, they like to do a 4-1 composition towards the later parts of the game. 4 people to defend, and then 1 person to basically start clearing the ways from the sides, and then after that coming off a flank. It's starting to get a little bit repetitive and also very predictable, and I feel like Amox noticed that.
Most of the time we always mention and we keep on saying, whenever there's a Hades on the opposite side, look out for your side waves. Look out for your side waves. Look out for your side waves. So initially, this is probably the reason why they have decided to ban out the Hayabusa, because they just eliminate so many escape routes for a Hayabusa. Hayabusa have like 4 escape routes, and you gotta have to, number 1, you have to guess where it is.
Got the
And when
iframes as well.
Got the iframes as well from the Ogi Shadow Kill. And when you guess where the which Shadow Clones he teleported to, you will have to get to that Shadow Clone. And when you get there, you could still go to another Shadow Clone. That is the main problem. That's why chasing a Hayabusa 1v1 is never fun. You need to put down so much more resources just to chase down a split-pushing Hayabusa, which is why Hades is always unpunished while he's split pushing.
Yeah, remember I'm for Kairi Hayabusa? Yes, exactly why. But apart from that, I think that's why the Hanzo pick was really a beautiful pick coming up from Coach Amox. Yes, early game you kind of doubted it because, like, you know, he's not doing really well, but that's also because, you know, you got a power spike coming up from the side from Team Flash. As to take a look at the stats right here, full-on items like what we mentioned and highlighted during halfway through the cast, right? Like you got the 3 attack speed items, exactly what a Hanzo needs. You got a BOD, a Malefic Roar to burst it down, but don't forget, CS on that Holy Crystal was the game changer. And once you start to do a lot of damage, the AoE damage especially, Curtiz is unable to hold, and to a certain extent, Vanix cannot also engage. Yes, you got Ken as the Pony of Death on the high loss to kind of form that brick wall, but ultimately, they always walk into a 4v5 fight, and RSG managed the whole team fight really well.
I think that the one thing that Team Flash was unable to take control of in the late stages was to go eye for an eye for the amount of damage CS is able to break through. The reason why you have a high loss in the late stages of the game is to completely and utterly nullify the effects of a Zaman Force. The moment you know that Zaman Force is has went down, throw the pony. Throw the pony right in the face of this Harif. This way, the Harif's damage will not go over to other people. In the meantime, while this exchange is going on, it's all up to Vanix to deal reasonable and good amount of damage over to Closer. Because if we were to compare between these two roamers, we know for sure that Hylos have got way more HP and Closer has got way lesser HP. So in terms of in terms of true damage wise, both of these players don't have the kind of true damage. It's all nullified based on the magical defense and the physical defense respectively.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's a draft difference right there. Really, like I feel like in the early game, yes, after a while, Team Flash felt like they're running out of fuel, right? When the damage department from the side of RSG start to spike up. Don't forget, Hanzo is also a DPS monster, right? Apart from Burst, he also has a DPS. So that's exactly what you do, and it's a lot more flexible. I think I keep hounding on this one because what a beautiful draft, right? Coming out from the side of RSG.
I think that this is a great start to a momentum. Yes. I find it really tough to kind of see this because Flash has been so unbeatable so far, as we mentioned in the previous seasons, and coming in, fighting up against RSG seems as though RSG is not a kryptonite.
Yeah, I feel like it's just plain old. You know, when you've been such a strong team for a long period of time, you play more games. When you play more games, you open up yourself to more analysts, and that's where RSG with help of Coach Amox, I think they found their weak point. The weak point is the fact that Hades like to split push. With that said, I feel game number 2, I feel like it's not okay. Apart from the fact that I did say it's a bit of a draft issue coming up from the side of Hanzo, the Hanzo changed up the draft completely. Maybe an execution thing that we also have to look out for, right? For the side of execution, I think expect a tank jungler coming out from Hades in the subsequent games.
So tank jungler, huh? Okay. So at least that will
change. It goes beyond my logic to say this.
I guess so. I mean, tank junglers. Well, either way, when it comes down to the statistics that we have got on our hand, both teams, we don't really have to talk too much about gold. But when it comes down to objectives, we can clearly tell that when it comes down to Turtle, early game, Team Flash have got that no problems. But the Lord takes from RSG is where it truly mattered from that point onwards.
Yep, most of the damage coming up from RSG is in the high rank, right? 73k damage dealt alongside with that Juicing. Even though, yes, Bray does not have a lot of damage, but when it comes to the later parts of the game, as long as you are able to assassinate the assassin, you don't really need that amount of damage.
Yeah, this is, I would say that the 43k, like 80% of those damage is only from the late game. While when we are looking at CS's damage, the total of 80k damage, it's only fair to say that maybe about 60% of that damage is from the late game. The 40% is probably early game, so if you kind of measure it, I think that it's pretty fair to say that even for Bray's kind of growth, there's a lot of damage just from the Hanzo.
Yep, definitely, right? And now we asked the question, right? Going into the MVP screen, I was...
Hanzo?
I want to... Okay, close it. Gato.
Okay.
All right. You want to explain? Do you agree with this?
AOG. Drop in. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay, Gato Kacha, I think is a good call because don't forget, remember the game. The win con for the side of these two teams is to basically deactivate Cortese's Feather Airstrike. And apart from that, you zone out the grandeur in terms of the Rhapsody and Death Sonata. The way you do it, and it allows the Harrier to basically go in ham onto the Zaman Force, is because of that AOG.
Okay, so let me update the sound effects. Boom, 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 ka-ka, ka-ka. Right?
That bird.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for this one, guys. I wasn't ready for this one. But yeah, game 1, but this is still game 1, right?
Yeah.
See how Team Flash recover from impossible scenarios before. Hopefully that is also the case for Team Flash, but at the same time, RSGSG, whoa, they're looking strong.